See if
One
they,
thing you touched on at the very start of this conversation, I can't remember if it was before we went live or not, was discipline. And I was wondering how that would work online,
yeah,
because in my very structured education, you did something wrong, you got sent out the classroom, or you were made to do something that it would be a lot harder to enforce over the internet.
yeah.
So how would that
So that
take
goes,
place?
yeah, great question. That goes back into what we were talking about. So in a democratic classroom, those are the kind of things that the parameters will talk about that in the beginning of the cohort groups, and we'll talk what is it going to look like, what would an infraction be, and how do we hold each other accountable? What would be unacceptable behavior? Again. We really want to welcome people with different learning styles and people that may have different levels of special needs. And I think one of the things that happens in the classroom is oftentimes people who really do have inability to control impulses or might need to stand up and move around, um, and those kind of things. And we want to be sensitive to that. So, some students, like I said, we're having these block classes that are an hour and a half long, but not everybody can sit for that long. Some students just can't. And
Yeah.
we need to make sure that, if somebody needs to take a 5-minute break, use the restroom, those kind of things. Oh, we lost your video, Izzie. Oh,
Sorry.
I personally, even in my graduate level classes, like, I don't care if people eat. If you have to eat, you have to eat. And I taught a lot of times classes from like 6 to 9 o'clock at night, and people were coming from work and they hadn't eaten. I'm like, of course you can eat in my class. You're starving. So some of those will be non-issues. I mean, if they're at home and they're munching on a sandwich and they're part of the conversation because they're hungry at that time, then that's okay. So I think some of the things that we see discipline within a traditional school won't be an issue because, they're at home. So if they want to eat, they can eat. And if they want to go to the bathroom, they can go to the bathroom. Generally what I do is when people need to use the restroom, they don't need to tell me. However, if we're in a deep conversation or we're explaining something, I always ask people beforehand, like, if you can wait, that would be great, because otherwise I have to explain everything all over again. So, trying to learn that management, just like you would do when you're in a business meeting, like you said, as an adult, unless you really have to go, you're not going to just stand up in the business meeting and walk out when your boss is talking. You're going to be like, oh, right. No, actually, boss, I do need to go. So can we pause for a minute? So again, that's that autonomy and being able to self-regulate. That's another thing. We want kids to manage themselves, but we don't give them an opportunity to, because we manage them,
Yeah.
including bathroom breaks and that stuff. We'll have conversations about what language is acceptable, but also I think kids get thrown out of class because a teacher feels that the student is being disrespectful. So we talk about, what does respect look like? And if somebody feels disrespected in the class, we talk about it as a group. What is the importance of respecting each other? How do we handle it if somebody disrespects us? Do we start screaming at them, or do we try to have a conversation about it? And we want everyone to feel safe too. Zoom we'll be using also has breakout rooms. So if things are going really, really poorly and a student is struggling or having, escalating emotionally or something, then we have the ability for me to take them into the breakout room and try to talk with them. But it might also be a situation where they just need a break. And, they come back tomorrow and we go from there, or they need to talk to me privately. I think that's really important. I can see more of a problem than behavior management in the Zoom setting is more of like what happens when a student just stops coming. And I think that's where it's really important to have a relationship with the families and that student as well. Because if they're not coming, then something's not working for them.
Yeah.
So what's going on? Why are they not coming? Right? And we want to do something differently, because again, we want them to, log in and be like, oh my gosh, I get to take my creative writing class with this great author today. We want them to want to be there.
Yeah. But that's on the kind of building the relationship between the teachers and the pupils, and making sure that everyone gets along and the pupils individually, like you're saying earlier.
Yeah, exactly. And the families too. I mean, I think, you know, when you're homeschooling, we want to have some connection with the families too, because if the student's not coming, then we want to make sure that we talk with families to see what's going on, and if there's anything the family needs that we can help with as well.